right, well, it's now my great pleasure to introduce our next guest speaker, Amanda Mullin. Dr. Amanda, please join me on screen.
Hi, Peace.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
So, Dr. Amanda, for people who haven't met you before, I would love you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you and the work that you do.
Well, first we can just call me Amanda, that will be fine. But my work is I'm a doctor of clinical psychology by trade, that's my profession. And I'm the founder of Mindwork Psychology. So I own a large physical psychology practice in Sydney. And I'm also the founder of Think Differently, which is my speaking and workshops and training business, where I train schools and businesses and individuals on how to thrive with their mental health, with a special interest in ADHD and neurodiversity as well.
Incredible. So, Amanda, your chapter is called Dance with Uncertainty. Can you tell us why you chose this title for your chapter?
Yes. So I guess uncertainty, as a psychologist, uncertainty is a space I work in quite a bit. And as humans, none of us like to be uncertain. And I think for me, I had such certainty in my business vision when I opened. I had a really clear, strong idea that I was going to open my practice and then open multiple practices, maybe franchise and, take over Australia and then take over the world. And that all changed when I had a cancer diagnosis. And I had to learn how to be uncertain, how to really sit in that and not be able to control what was going to happen next at any stage. And, that lasted, I'd say, for quite a few years, but truthfully, I don't think it ever really changes, even though my certainty feels a little bit more nowadays, that I feel really well. So that's why I chose that title, because I think for all of us, learning how to dance with uncertainty and how to sit in that space, it's so important, particularly as women and in business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In your chapter, you talk about that moment where you'd opened a brand new clinic and you were so proud of what you'd achieved and so hopeful for the future. And then you received the diagnosis. Can you tell us a bit about that moment and how it felt for you and how you navigated that?
Yeah. I think this was a really hard chapter for me to write because I hadn't maybe processed all of this myself as well. But when I opened my my new practice, so I'd opened a second location and it was right in Sydney Harbour. I mean, it was just beautiful. I had harbour views. It was floor to ceiling glass overlooking the Opera House, and it was just incredible. So I really felt that I had just made it in business, almost just really started to kick some goals. And we've been open only probably 2 weeks when I got my diagnosis of cancer. And I think just the juxtaposition of that, just the disappointment, letting it all go, having to say goodbye to that dream, wondering if I could even hold my first location with diagnosis. And it wasn't expected. I'd been tired and I'd been unwell for over a year, but I'd been pushing through and I'd had lots of checkups where there was nothing wrong with me. So that day when I had diagnosis, when the cancer was big enough that it was actually found, that was quite a devastating day for me because I didn't think that I was sick. And I certainly, in my early 40s, did not think that I was the kind of person who was going to get a diagnosis of breast cancer so young. It didn't run in my family. And it was really unexpected.
Yeah, that is such devastating news to receive. You talk about, though, that you navigated that journey and you made it through. And one of the things that you learned through this journey is that rest isn't a reward. Can you tell us more about this and how this shows up for you now in your life?
Absolutely. I think, for me as a psychologist, I often talk about these things to clients, and it's another thing as well to force yourself to walk the talk. So, rest isn't a reward for working hard, but as women, we tend to place it as such. So we forget to notice that we need to rest in order to do the work, that we need to spend that time in recovery. And, I tended to be a really busy person. So, I had kids, I had my business, I'd emigrated from Scotland. And it was busy, busy, busy. We didn't have a lot of support, and I was just used to being on the go 24/7. So to have all of that stripped away from me, and more than stripped away, to actually have zero capacity. There was days where I would come downstairs and sit on my doorstep in the sunshine, and that would be the accomplishment from the day. And it was so humbling and so frightening at the same time. And to have to learn that I needed that much rest, that just a short walk down some stairs, or, getting in the car, going to watch my kids play a game of sport on the weekend and coming back, that was then equivalent to, what a whole entire day had been like before. That kind of thing is really humbling. And I've tried to remember the messaging, because it's easy as my health has came back to just go back to being busy, busy, busy and forget about self-care and to make that less of a priority. So I try to hold tight to self-care and to rest, and to make sure that I rest and it's balanced a lot more than it ever was prior to diagnosis.
I love that. I think it's an important message for all of us to remember that rest is really important if we want to achieve big things in the world. It's part of the strategy, is looking after ourselves. Another lesson that you talk about that you learned was redefining success. Can you tell us a bit about this and what your definition of success used to be compared to what it is now?
Oh, great question. I think my definition of success is still evolving. That would be the truth. But it probably touches on to a few things. So one is, I guess before diagnosis, I'd had that vision of having, multiple psychology locations open and being able to help thousands of people with many, many therapists. And after my treatment, I was too tired. I couldn't physically travel between locations, and I could only work close to home. So that really I had to change my vision around that. And so, I started doing a lot of online programs just before COVID started, but I started to get online and to look at how else can I achieve my vision. I still wanted to do the same thing. I still wanted to help millions of people with their mental health, but I had to make sure travel wasn't in it and that I wasn't moving around and depleting myself that way. But the other thing that changed for me in terms of thinking about success is that there's a book called The Regrets of the Dying. And in that book, one of the biggest regrets people have is the things that they don't do and the things that they don't try. So they don't regret the things they do try, but later they regret the things they didn't. And so for me, when I came back to work and felt better, there was a long time where I thought I should just be happy and I shouldn't try to do more. I should just rest and I should just be kind of content and not do more, because that seemed so risky and kind of dangerous almost to do that. But also, along with those regrets of the dying, I don't want to look back and not have pursued my passions and the things that I wanted to do. So I think as well, my definition of success is making sure that I'm aligned with my values and my dreams and my hopes, and that I move myself in that direction as well, no matter what it looks like. And even when it sometimes changes a little bit, just staying on that path and knowing what my path looks like for me.
I love that so much. That's a beautiful way to think about success. In your chapter, you also say you don't need to know how your story ends. You just need to begin. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, I think it's so true, right? None of us know how our story is going to end. And when I set out in business, I thought I did know. I had that vision of all those practices and the things that I was going to do. I had a really clear business plan all written up, and I had the projection and the timeline, and I knew exactly what I was doing. That's not what my future did look like. And even now, I'm really aware, that I could get ill again. Things happen, things change the whole time. And so as we start to move forward and just really not just redefining success, but knowing that there's not a perfect time for success, that we just need to start. We just need to do the things that we love and move forward, that there'll never be a right time. There's never a good time. There's never a perfect time. You're never going to be more certain, more confident. And all you can do is take steps forward in the in the path of your dreams.
Yes,
Actually, I was talking so much,
thank you so
forgot
much.
what actually you asked me, so I feel like I'm wandering off there on tangent.
No, that was perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here, Amanda, and thank you for sharing your chapter with us in Begin It Now. I know that it will be incredibly inspiring for our readers as well. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome. I've got my copy here and I'm loving reading all the author chapters. So thank you so much.
Oh, wonderful. And for those of you watching, you can order your copy of Begin It Now at wcwpress.com. All right, well, that concludes our interviews for today, but please tune in. We've got more interviews, workshops, and chapter readings happening right across this week and next week as well. Thanks again, Laura and Amanda, and we will see you all again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.